So this is Baruch Fleischman. I am your lift manager standing by here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel to give us a lift. Today's learning of the Zohar should be in the name of David Chaim ben Blima. He's a Refuah Shalema. As we get older, we have more and more challenges, health challenges. So God should bless him and bless us all. Now, here we're in Parshas Achrei Moshe, and we're going to see some little different places over here, and still not the Zaman with ER has. We haven't hit Rosh Chodesh ER, but I want to cheat up a little bit and get into the Zohar. So he said, "V'yadaber Hashem el Moshe achrei Moshe b'nei Achron," and Hashem spoke to Moshe after the death of the two sons of Aaron. V'yomer Hashem al Moshe, and Hashem spoke to Moshe. He said like this: Rabbi Yehuda says, came in decifering, since it's written v'yadaber Hashem el Moshe that Hashem spoke to Moshe. Amai zimna achra. Why does it have to come back and say again v'yomer Hashem el Moshe daber el Achron nachichos? So why does it have to come and say it again? Because from the first time the very first time he said it, that should be enough. But this is what we learn. V'yikra el Moshe, and he called to Moshe. Remember, this is from a pasuk, a famous pasuk actually, that we're trying to understand what V'yikra means. He called out to Moshe, V'yadaber Hashem alav, Hashem spoke to him. So this is a case where you have double lashon again. And also it's written like this in Shmos over there. Vel Moshe Amar Ale al Ahar, and to Moshe he says, go up into the mountain. I said that wrong. Vel Moshe Amar Ale el Hashem. To Moshe he said, go up to Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now this had been talked about, Rebbe Shimon says in the yeshiva before. The Hochadar Gachad. This is what we determined. You're talking about two different levels. It says this two times because it's two different levels. Levasar Darga Achra, so one time is one level. Levasar, and afterwards the Darga Achra is another level. Uvchochol, so also we see here. V'yadaber Hashem el Moshe Darga Chad, that if Hashem spoke to Moshe, it could be one level. Levasar v'yomer Hashem el Moshe, then after that, he says to Moshe, Hashem says to Moshe, Daber el Achron, he says, now you need to speak to Achron Achicho. This is really a different level altogether. Darga Achra, it's a different level. V'kula b'chad maskala salka, but they're equal. The maskala is a balance scale, so they're all balanced. In other words, they're equal. Umin shar shachada kula is chaver, and from one root, these two ideas that we're talking about now, as we're going to go through the matak midrash, they join together, is chaber. So let's go over here and look at the matak midrash. So the matak says, "V'yadaber Hashem al Moshe." Hashem spoke to Moshe, achrei Moshe b'nei Achron, after the death of the two sons of Aaron. B'karavta lifnei Hashem v'yamusa, when you're coming near to Hashem, and b'karavta lifnei Hashem, the fact that they came before Hashem and then they died. This is really what the pasuk is saying. V'yom Hashem al Moshe, then Hashem spoke to Moshe, or he said to Moshe. Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda says like this, that's the way the pasuk reads. So since it said that Hashem should speak to Moshe, but didn't actually tell him to do anything. So since he didn't say anything, he didn't finish the V'yadaber Hashem al Moshe, he starts off with V'yomer Hashem. So V'yomer Hashem, so why does it say a second time V'yomer Hashem al Moshe daber el Achron achicho? Then it says speak to your brother Aaron. Because when he started to talk to begin with, when he said V'yadaber, why didn't he just go into telling the story? He could have just kept on. It was sufficient with the first round of what he said. So then the Zohar goes on and it says V'heshiv, but it answers like this. This is the reason why you have two. And he takes these pasukim that we're going to look at now. Moshe Kasa Begnisis Moshe the Mishkan, when Moshe came to the Mishkan for the first time. Beketh Lashon, it says the Lashon twice. V'yikra el Moshe, and they called to Moshe. V'yadaber Hashem alav, and Hashem spoke to him. Behind the Shechab Malchus, Kara as Moshe, because what we're saying like this is a case where Malchus, which is the level of the congealing of all of the lights from up above, spoke to Moshe. Then after that, Yud Kei Vav Kei, who is their Anpen, in other words, a higher level, removed to a certain level from Malchus. It's up above Malchus or inside of Malchus. You wouldn't want to say it, but it's in a higher spiritual state. Diber alav v'tzivohu al mitzvahs hakarbanos. He spoke to him. This is the Mishkan example, and he spoke to him and told him about the mitzvahs of the karbanos. Because it became Kosev of Mountain Terrace, so also of another place. Is El Moshe Amar Ale El Hashem. So the pasuk says, and Moshe Amar Ale, go up to Yud Kei Vav Kei. V'lo Kosev mi Amar, but it doesn't say who said this. Behind the Shechab Malchus Amra El Moshe, that is a case of Malchus speaking to Moshe. Ale Allah El Zer Anpin Hanikra Havaya, go up to Zer Anpin, who is called Havaya. V'lechein lo Kosev Allah Elai. So therefore it doesn't say Elai, to me. So now we've explained this. So what are we talking about? Let's just try to put it in perspective. The Hasa Dargachad, ki Masha Kosev Dechila, he Madrega Achas Shihra Malchus. So the original language, Yadaber Hashem al Moshe, is speaking about Malchus. Ulabasar Daga Achra, and then after this is another level. Masha Kosev Achakach, who Madrega Acherish, that's the level of Zer Anpin. So we see that the two of them, that is the Penimius, which is Zer Anpin, and the Kitzonis, which is Malchus, which is closest to us, they both speak to Moshe. Of Chacha, also here of Khan, Masha Kosev Yadaber Hashem al Moshe, and Hashem spoke to Moshe. Dargachad is one level, who Madrega Achaz Tachtoina, it's one level, it's the lowest level. The Heinach Malchus, that's Malchus. Malchus Amar Moshe, Malchus says to Moshe, achrei Moshe b'nei Achron, after the death of these two sons, Nadav and Avihu, he said, "B'karavtam lifnei Hashem v'yamusa." When you come near to Hashem, b'karavtam, when they came before Hashem, and as a result of the way they did it, they died. Shechasiva shemesu machmas shepagmo b'kavod, because it seems to think that the cause that they died is because they made a flaw, they messed up, they made a puncture b'kavoda of the Shekhinah. Levasa, then after that, v'achar kach Masha Kosev, v'yomer Hashem el Moshe daber el Achron achicho dagra achra. This is another level speaking. Hu madrega acheres el yonah yosef, which is on a higher level. The hainu zer anpin amal Moshe is Zohar. She asked here, so now zer anpin is speaking to Moshe. Should be careful. Sheyaskir has Akron, that he should warn Akron al kavod the Shekhinah in regards to being careful about the kavod of the Shekhinah. V'kul b'chad maska the salka, v'kol ola b'mishka lechad. All of them comes into be one basic level. Kolomar bein divrei malchus, and he says like this. This is the secret that's within the secret, but there are two. He's saying there are two lines of communication to Moshe in different situations, and I guess we could expand on that, but we're going to read right here. Kolomer bein divrei malchus, the secret here between whether Malchus speaks, sha'am racha b'karavtam Hashem v'yamusa, where she says, this Malchus, using the she, sha'am racha b'karavtam Hashem v'yamusa, when you're coming near to Hashem, that they came near to Hashem and they died. Bein divrei v'zer anpen, whether it's the words of zer anpen, she'omer ve'el al yavo b'kol eis el kodesh, don't come at any moment or just any time you want to the kodesh. A kolhu inyan echad. It's really actually one thing. That is, he's saying, I'm thinking to myself that he's saying that that when Zer Anpin speaks, it's speaking from Panemius, and as I said before, and when Malchus speaks, it's speaking from Kitsonis, but they're one. Laharos as Charasim bekavod nishkina v'hamishkana. So therefore they speak as oneness. There's a oneness that they teach us about, the kavod of the Shechina and the Mishkan. Masha Kasa b'shnechem b'chem Havaya, so you have the name Havaya, which really refers to Zer Anpin, why they both have that name. V'chem milas v'yadaber, and also the words v'yadaber over Yomer, Namer pam b'za upam b'malchus. So we're talking, sometimes we use this for Zer Anpin, sometimes for Malchus. Ein shum kushi b'daber, there's no problem here. In other words, we have separations of different types, one speaking one way, one speaking another way, or saying different languages. He says, Ki min sharsha chada kula is chava. Mishorsh echad is chava hakol, because actually everything is joined together from one root. Ki shnechem is chavrim, mikoch shorsham shu ha'ein sof baruch hu, because both of them are joined together, these two opposites are joined together for the koach of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is only one. So sometimes we call we talk about za in Malchus, the kinu Malchus b'za, or that we call Malchus za. So it's there because they're one. Ein shum pirud b'neihem, because there's really no difference, because they are one. So what's he saying here? To me, it's a little bit complicated. Is that the Ein Sof Baruch Hu is panimi to everything. And when things are offered in purity and said through, I guess, through the truth of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, everything we find out is really, really one. Let me remind you again that this shir was said in the Schus and the Refuah Shalem for David Chaim ben Blima. Kol Tov.